Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wind Down Your Weekend here live at Bat City Comic Professionals in Bradenton, Florida, where we are going to talk to you about all of this week's new small press and indie releases. As always, I'm your host, Shannon, aka Small Press Shann, here to get you really pumped about a bunch of comics you maybe didn't hear about this week. So we are going to jump into those in just a few minutes, but as always, if we are going to wind down our weekend, we're going to have to kick it off with the wine. And so we are drinking tonight Mark Hill's Pinot Noir, and I'm going to slide this to this side. This is supposed to be, what does it say? It's travel to the land of laid-back attitude and carefree mentality with this California Pinot Noir. I love this description. The delicate floral aromas, juicy berry flavors, and silky texture carry you away to a year-round paradise, which is funny because I already live in one. This easygoing wine is best served at room temperature and pairs perfectly with roasted chicken, salmon, and pasta, which is pretty standard for a Pinot Noir. I just love the wine labels. I love how beautiful the blurbs get. Like, they try to just make them sound like an adventure in every bottle. And, I mean, depending on the wine, they often can be. So, I'm going to take a drink of this Mark Hill, see how it is. So, spoiler alert, I actually tried this the other day. I'm going to tell you that. And I tried it at our Ladies and Non-Binary Nerd Night the other night, and I can honestly say, actually, the second bottle is even better. One of the things I feel like both times is like the silky texture is actually probably the strongest thing for it, like at the front. Somebody actually asked me before they took some at Ladies Night the other night, they were like, is it dry or is it sweet? And I was like, it's kind of silky jammy, but it's also kind of got a little bit of like, just, like that nice, like, there's not a lot of sweet to it. It's definitely more on your dry side, but I was like, it does have that nice, like, berry flavor with a silky texture, and it's good. Very smooth. And, like, just light enough, like, honestly, that you're not, like, it almost has, like, the nice, fresh lightness to it, even though it is a darker, like, heavier looking wine. This is Aldi, and it's, like, what, like, $8? Something crazy like that. This is, seriously, if you want to try a Pinot Noir, this is a great intro Pinot Noir. It's $8 at Aldi. It does pair. We actually had one of our ladies brought pulled pork to ladies' night the other night, and we were eating that with, I was eating that with this and cornbread muffins, and it was such a nice, beautiful blend of flavoring. Like, it goes really nice with the sauces and everything that were in the pulled pork. So it does pair nicely with all kind of like a wide range of food, which it says like salmon and chicken and pasta, which are usually like those lighter dishes, but I was actually surprised it paired really well with the red meat too. But I don't drink white wine, so I would never think like it wouldn't go with red meat. We're going to slide this over really fast. And we're going to talk about some things. So there's all kinds of things happening at Bat City. This past week was super busy. We had a field trip with our friends from Imagine School. Shout out to our educator of our 2024 Educator of the Year, Jason Wall, and his pop culture class, who got to come out for a trip around Bat City. They had a lot of fun. We did a scavenger hunt, which was really cool. I always love to see the kids learn new things about comics as they do the scavenger hunt. We got to go to Seabreeze Elementary School this week for their family engagement night, which was really cool. It was like a campfire theme, so every kid had their little passport to check off that they went to every station, and then they got their own little s'mores kit at the end for doing the whole thing. And they had this fake campfire that was kind of fun for the kids to go sit by as they ate their s'mores. It was so cute. And we got to make comics with a lot of kids there and color some Dogman sheets and just have a lot of fun. We got to go to Parish Charter School this week and do a comic creation workshop for a bunch of their kids as a part of the Great American Teach-In. And so that was awesome. We had about 40 kids in that class that came in and made their own comics. And we've gotten, some of them finished that day. Some of them I was like, if you bring it to the store, you'll get a prize, which if you're watching and you're from Paris Charter School, don't forget that you can bring your finished comic into Bat City for that prize. And we had some kids actually do that this weekend, which was really cool to get to read their comics once they were done. We got to go to Rocky Bluff Library for their Fall Frenzy, which was amazing. We got to meet some goats. We got to see like the dogs, the adoption dogs that were out there. We got to see the fire truck. We got to meet a ton of kids. We got to hang out with Marty the Marauder, who is our boy. We love that guy. And we got to hang out with tons and tons of kiddos who made comics and colored Dogman pictures and stuff with us. So that was a lot of fun and took a lot of free comics. We got so many comics this week. I'm so excited. We also, like I said, had our Ladies Non-Binary Nerd Night. We had our subscriber night. Shout out to all the subscribers who came and brought like amazing dishes and things to share with their friends, and made new friends. That was so much fun. Coming up this week, we've got some more stuff. So this Thursday at 7 p.m. is our book club, our monthly Fresh Start book club, where we read a $1 first issue of a comic. Just to get a little taste of it. And this week we're going to be tasting some ice cream with Ice Cream Man #1, which Ice Cream Man is one of my favorite series. Hands down, just a fantastic series all the way around. One of the best horror anthologies on the shelf. And right now we're getting so many new horror anthologies that I feel like people are forgetting that there is this greatness right here that's kind of it's been on the shelf since 2016. So as an ongoing, we are on issue 42 right now. So we're going to start with this issue 1 and kind of give people a new group of people a chance to dive in, and get the scoop, as it were, on this amazing issue. So that is this Thursday at 7. This is $1, which is the only copy of Ice Cream Man #1 you're going to get for $1. So join us for that. You can come grab the copies here in the store if you already have a copy. You can read yours. You don't have to buy it to join the book club, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And if you want to bring ice cream to share with your friends at it, feel free. But don't leave your ice cream because Matt and Shannon don't eat ice cream much anymore. So if you're going to bring ice cream and you want me to eat some, bring rainbow sherbet. Because that doesn't hurt my stomach as much. Although I really want my stomach to hurt bad enough to try the pumpkin ice cream that exists at Detweiler's. So I'm really willing to risk it, honestly, because it sounds so good. What was it the other day? It was like pumpkin pie cheesecake or pumpkin pie ice cream, and you were like, oh my God, I'll do it. I don't care. We will also be out Thursday earlier in the afternoon at the Remake Learning Days kickoff for the Patterson Foundation, talking to people about how they can do Remake Learning Days at their organizations or partner with other ones. If you don't know what that is, it is an international festival to get kids and families learning together. And it's a great opportunity to learn more what that looks like here in our community. It is funded by the Patterson Foundation. It is a awesome time from like 3 weeks of like April into, I think it's April 19th through May 3rd this year. We're always excited to participate. There's so many fun events that go on. If you're somebody who has an organization or somebody that just has an idea and wants to partner with an organization, you should come to this event on Thursday at the location that the Patterson Foundation has that I don't remember where it is, but I will be there. If you're interested, shoot me a message and I will tell you how you can find out more about that. And then I'm so excited. This Saturday, November 23rd, from 12 to 4, we have our first ever Heroes Harvest Festival, which is going to include games and crafts for kids, all kinds of like fun activities like that. But the thing that I'm very excited about, and apparently all of you are too, is there is a chili cook-off happening at this. And I literally woke up from a nap to more messages from people asking about how to be in the chili cook-off. So this is going to be wild. There's going to be so much chili. I can for a fact tell you that one of the judges will be Garfield artist Gary Barker. So you guys got to come out, make your chili, come out and taste the chili. We're going to be dropping like ways that you can be involved as the fan vote. So there's going to be like a first, second, third kind of prize, but there's going to be a fan favorite, and there's going to be a special way that you can vote for that. And we're going to put that into the event this week. But it is free to come. There's going to be activities, like I said, it's going to be free for the kiddos to participate, or the adults if you want to play the games too. It's going to be great. I can't wait to like see it all and eat all of the chili. Let's just be honest. I just can't wait to eat all the chili. I'm probably going to be one of the judges just because I want an excuse to eat and judge chili. So that is from 12 to 4 this Saturday. During that event, all kids' books are also going to be 20% off as a part of our Giving Thanks sale. So bring the family, buy some books for the kiddos. It's going to be a great way to just have some fall family fun, because we still have a holiday in between now and Christmas, and we're going to celebrate it in 2 ways, with our fall festival and our Giving Thanks sale. That said, speaking of, this Wednesday on New Comic Book Day, we are going to have 15% off graded comics under $100. Thursday, we are going to have 20% off trade paperbacks. Friday is 25% off manga, and then, as I just said, kids' books are 20% off during the Harvest Fest on the Saturday. So, and all day Saturday, even if you don't make it to the festival. But why would you miss the chili? Come on. It's going to be a blast. There's going to be so much going on all week at Bad City, and really for the rest of the month. We are going to take a break from all those activities right now, though, just to talk about all of the awesome new indie comics that came out. So I'm going to take one more drink of this Mark Hill Pinot Noir. Okay. And we are going to kick it off with Transformers number 14 from Image and their Skybound imprint and the Energon universe. We're getting crazy in this world, because this is our crossover from Transformers and G.I. Joe, and G.I. Joe launched this week, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But I've kind of been telling my Transformers fans who are like, ooh, I don't know how I feel about G.I. Joe. I'm like, jump in with Transformers, because even if you don't really care about G.I. Joe, but you love Transformers, that's all this series really has focused on so far. We're going to build back towards those G.I. Joe guys, but we have been seeing kind of the history of Starscream. We got to see his, origin story and how he kind of became a villain. And in this one, we see some recovery that he's had with some of the humans who found him and kind of dug him out and gave him a new life. We learned about all the backstabbing that's been going on between the Transformers. We learned about just how evil this man really is, or this robot, I guess I should say. And new alliances are formed in this issue. If you've been reading Transformers, you know the Decepticons are not led by Megatron. And for reasons that you have to read all of the G.I. Joe books to learn. But they are still at war with the Autobots, and now this issue has led to a third party of robots coming in and teaming up and getting ready to take on some things. And this is so much more violent than you would expect, like, at times. Like, most of the time, of course, like, it's not, like, too heavy, but when it's like, oh, they're not going to hurt the humans because these are, like, named characters, or, like, they're not going to put that on the page. They do, and they do hurt. Like, there is robot-on-robot violence in here. So be prepared for that, Transformers fans, because you might lose some of your favorite Transformers. Transformers were harmed in the making of these comics. Tales of the Bazaar, issue 9 from Dren Productions. This is their horror anthology that has been going on for about 9 months now. 9 issues, really. It kind of comes out like every other month or so it's kind of been going on a little bit longer. But the first issue, or the first story in this, is all about a woman who is hitchhiking, and these 2 guys that are like, ooh, we gotta pick up a hitchhiker, essentially, so we can do bad things to them. And they find this girl, and they think that they're gonna get her, and things don't go exactly the way they want. And then we find our second story, which is about 2 kids. One of them wakes up and it's her birthday, and it's the middle of the night, and she's all excited, and her little brother is like creepily sitting outside their window, and he's like, hey, I saw something crash, and I think it's a governmental like drone, and she's like, that is definitely not a government drone. And then some things happen. And then the last one is actually my favorite story in the issue. It is called The Music of Eric Zahn, and it is all about a guy who really wants to be good at the violin, but actually doesn't have the talent for it, and ends up making a deal with some demonic type person who's like, yes, you can, I will give you all the skills you need to play the violin, but you have to complete this one certain task every day for the rest of your life. And we kind of see how he uses that to get the skill and the talent and the fame and notoriety he wants, but the curse that comes with it. And it's really a really cool, crazy story. So if you haven't read these yet, the first couple, like the first arc of this actually had its own kind of crypt keeper kind of person who was telling us these stories, and now they're just giving them to us. There's not really the overarching crypt keeper story anymore. It's just like, here it is. So you can kind of just jump in anywhere. Sam and Twitch, issue 8 from Image. This is the end of Sam and Twitch, at least for now. Or at least the story arc, I guess I should say, because issue 9 does come out next month. But this is the end of this arc, and we've been following as Twitch, the detective, has been very mad at Sam and everything else going on in his life, so he's gone out to help a friend. He's left New York to go, or whatever city, New York, to go out and help a friend who's a police officer in a small town in the Midwest. And when he gets there, he learns that the murders that are happening are not as clean cut as they thought they were, and that that Twitch is kind of being drugged into something that he doesn't want to get into. Meanwhile, Sam has been back in New York trying to figure out where Twitch went and why he's avoiding him, and those two paths do start to cross in this issue, and we kind of see how that's going to play out. Like I said, this is the end of this arc. I'm very happy to see that it's not actually the end of the story, because they're just a great detective team. And it's a good story for $2.99 every month, and you get that Simon Krasinski art. But I can't wait to see what their next case is, because these two are such opposites of detectives. You know, they're kind of that stereotype where the one is rough and does whatever he wants to get the answer he needs. The other one's kind of more by the book. And in this arc, we really saw Twitch have to step out of that comfort zone of just being by the book and deal with some people. And so I want to see how that's going to play out a little bit when we get to see him interact with Sam again post the issue. The Adventures of the Galactic Wrestling Federation, number 7, from our friends at Bad Kids Press. I cannot talk tonight. Oh my gosh. This has been such a fun series for those of you who love wrestling and for those of you who don't. This is all about the Red Menace, who is a robot type guy, but it's like a whole species of robot type people. And he's a wrestler, and he's following the footsteps of his father, who was actually killed in the arena while wrestling. And he's been trying to kind of get vindication, but also get emotionally over what happened, because it just happened. As this series opened up, kind of thing. And he's been through a very long journey in the last 6 issues, and I actually cannot believe that it's only on issue 7 with how many things poor Red Menace has gone through. But they realize they're finally getting the opportunity for him to go head-to-head against the person that killed his dad and maybe stop things. And so he, in this issue, is being trained by Bark, who is a tree person, and also by a guy who is helping him find his enlightenment, because they realize that no matter how good he is physically, he's really not in it emotionally because of all the damage that he's having from his dad. And so they have to get him back to his center. And we start to see the fight happen. And we're left on a major cliffhanger, as only Bad Kids Press can do. And the next issue is supposed to give us the resolution for whether or not Red Menace wins, whether or not he lives, whether or not he's able to wrestle ever again, what happens with his dad. We're supposed to see all of that and more in the next issue. And seriously, don't make me wait, guys, because I gotta know. I have been waiting for this man to take on this fight, and then you gave me a cliffhanger like that. Also, I heard there was some other fight this week, but this was the only fight that I really cared about this week, was seeing Red Menace go hard. Nowhere Man, also issue 7 from Bad Kids Press. This has been one of the wildest books. Like, this actually opens up very like Twilight Zone-esque with a guy who feels bad because he's lost his dad and he doesn't know like where he is, like what happened, and he kind of maybe possibly like unalived himself. I'm not really sure like what actually happened. Like, we don't really, like, none of us are really sure, like, if he kind of just existentially ended up essentially in the afterlife. And he's been traveling with different gods and beings of this other world and kind of just getting into all kinds of existential conversations with them and situations. And in this issue, he ends up going to a house of a woman who's, like, kind of like a young kid. And she's very much into, like, almost like Elmira-esque from Tiny Toon Adventures. Like, she's very much, like, overbearing and controlling, and there's all these weird, crazy rules, and then she's, like, everybody is essentially pet-like to her. And he has to make some decisions on whether or not he's going to stay there or if he's going to get out before it's too late for him and what's going to happen. And Nowhere Man always makes decisions a little too late. Or a little too wrong. And so we're going to see how this one plays out in the next issue for him, because he's getting some warnings and some strange vibes, and I feel like this guy is never going to figure out like what he needs to move on, but he is going to just be stuck in some dangerous spots until then. You and I, issue 6 from AWA. There's been a slight delay on this one, so I'm glad it's finally here. This is the end of this, and kind of the first one that AWA has put out on the wall that reminded us of the Resistance universe being a thing, which is all about a massive virus spreads through the world, and the 400,000 people who get the virus and survive, a bunch of them get superpowers and different things like that. And You and I has connections to that because You has superpowers, and he can basically see the world as like an action adventure movie. He kind of can tell what's going to happen, but he always sees like other people as giant monsters or things like that for him to fight. And he's believed that he was supposed to find this one perfect person for him to be with. And he ends up, and that's a girl named Isabel, because he was like, it's you and I forever. And he finds her, and Isabel's on the run from her family. She doesn't trust. And we've been waiting for them to kind of have this showdown between the people who are chasing You and trying to catch him and Isabel. And this is that showdown here. And You has regenerative powers, and we don't really know how well they work, but we definitely get a big taste of how that could possibly go down throughout this issue of this book. So if you've been waiting for the end of You and I, it is here, and I hope we're going to see more of the Resistance universe. They did tease that it was coming back at AWA, so I hope that they bring us lots of it soon. Rifters, issue 6 from Image Comics. This is a hilarious story of time-traveling detectives. This is about two guys who are part of a unit that's job it is to go back in time and solve crimes. And they are supposed to be more of a minor crimes, petty theft kind of people. But in issue 1, they discover a much bigger conspiracy and some murder, and they decide they need to get involved because they are terrible at their job and terrible at staying out of the way. And they get involved in the wrong thing, and it leads them down a path that costs them their jobs and possibly their freedom. And so they feel like the only way to do it is when you can travel through time. Why not travel through time to find all of the answers you need that will excuse yourself? And so they, in this issue, find themselves in the place where they can actually solve more of the case than they even thought that they were going to bite off. But they are not very good at chewing all of those bites they take, and some bad things happen, and some ridiculous problems ensue. And we're left with some kind of solutions, whether or not they're good ones for them, and whether or not they actually really make the difference they think they're doing will always be a question that these rifters have. But definitely check it out if you like time travel and if you like humor, because this does do a good job of blending that into its detective story. Witchblade, issue 5 from Image Top Cow. This is kind of retelling like Witchblade, like with a modern twist to it. It's not we kind of start right at the beginning where Sarah is a cop and she is working to just kind of like working vice, and she's undercover and she's trying so hard to take out the bad guys in whatever way she can, and she is given the Witchblade in a strange circumstance of events, and so it's like this essentially like this thing that bonds with her, and she's able to fight really well and kind of predict what's going to happen, and whenever it takes over, she kind of just becomes a superhero. And in this issue, she's given up. She doesn't want to have the Witchblade power. She doesn't want the people that are tracking her for it. She doesn't want all of the problems that come with it, and she doesn't want to be associated with the guy that's been training her because she's feeling too many emotions towards him that she doesn't want to feel. So she has gone weeks without using the Witchblade power at this point, and it is starting to weigh on her, and I really love this double-page spread. It's really starting to weigh on her, and all of the things that she wants to be able to do that she's not able to do anymore to stop not only the people that are the problem in her city, but also she's still trying to figure out who murdered her dad and how it's all interconnected. And as she gets further into that investigation, she realizes the Witchblade might be the only thing that can help her solve her case and stay alive. It's really good. Marguerite Bennett's writing it, and so it's really cool to see just a modernized like Witchblade that's really more on the empowerment side almost than anything for it. The Mammoth, issue 5 from Mad Cave. This is the end of Mammoth, and if you shop in our store, you know Santiago, who does Santiago Saturdays, and he was very sad that this was coming to an end this week, but very excited to see what went down, and I hope he's satisfied, because we definitely get a really cool ending. So if you don't know, The Mammoth is all about the scientists who are investigating what seems like earthquakes in a certain area, and one of them, while out there, ends up dying, and then suddenly reappears to her partner and just starts talking about a place that she needs to go to and just needing to go. And so the group gets all back together again and are trying to lead her to this place. Meanwhile, every ghost in the history of ghosts is swarming them and trying to figure out where they're supposed to go, and the only person that can lead them is our dead compatriot. And so they are trying right now to get to a place where they can wherever they can go, but our dead host isn't actually able to talk. She's just kind of able to point, and we get to see this play out and where all of this ghostly danger goes. And so if you haven't jumped in, now's a great time, because all 5 issues are out and you can go on this very emotional journey with us. The Domain, issue 5 from Image, or the Imaginary Dallas Comics. This is also the end of this. This is the mini version of the fake comic that they are making in Chip Zdarsky's Public Domain. So, Public Domain is all about a guy who is essentially Jack Kirby that created a story with a guy who is essentially Stan Lee. And now years later, him and his kids are trying to revive this character. And what they decide to do is give that power that character had to 3 different new characters. One that kind of represents each different marginalized group that they want to share about. And so we get to see that story that they've been working on in this 5-issue comic, and we kind of see how that plays out. And so you can read this without reading The Domain, because it just kind of reads like its own little Chip Zdarsky alien superhero comic. It's all about 3 people who find an alien, and they get the power that this alien has, and they're able to share superpowers, but they can't all use it at the same time. And now the ultimate bad guy aliens are coming, and they are the only ones who can stop it before it is too late. And whether or not they do that, and whether or not they learn how to work together and actually, be a superhero, you're going to find out in this issue. And if you want to find out more about how this comic got made, you can read Public Domain, which is fantastic, and you should be reading it anyway. Godzilla, Here There Be Giants, Volume 2, Sons of Giants, Issue 5, from IDW. This is the moment I've been waiting for, because this Sons of Giants has been all about like a secret society that tracks all of the Godzilla monsters throughout history, all the kaiju, and we finally got to King Ghidorah and where he came from and when we first saw him on Earth and what he is. And so we get to see basically how like the tale of the Hydra is all about King Ghidorah technically. And as the secret society tells that story, we get to see, of course, as with everything, like the kaiju fight between Ghidorah and Godzilla. And then we get to see how these people in the secret society, their story is varying. So if you've been following along with this, or if you haven't, there has been a man who has come to the president, who is brought in to the president of the United States to learn that there is a secret society, and he is being recruited, and they want him to kind of be a part of this group that keeps the secret of kaiju, but also, like, they can call on them, they can protect them, they protect the people from knowing about the kaiju, and all the different things. Well, now that story's all been told and we've kind of focused on all the different kaiju and he knows all the secrets, of course they're going to have the problem escalate quickly, and that is that the aliens have come for them, and they are going to have to fight this battle and figure out, just how to, whether or not they need to call these kaiju in and who's going to protect them. They need something that can protect them from aliens, from kaiju, and from all the problems in the world. And I cheered a little bit at the end when I saw what exactly that answer was, and this book is just fantastic. So, Godzilla fans, kaiju fans, you need to be reading Sons of Giants. It's so good. Life, issue 3 from Distillery. I'm a sucker for a flip book. I think I've said that every time one appears in the live stream, and this is no different, but except for the fact that it is a perfect bound, oversized, beautiful, flip book. So now you get all of the good things. It's an IMAX flip book. But this is a story that is told in 2 parts about a planet that we created, that we didn't create the planet, but we created it into a prison unit. And so basically all of the worst prisoners were stuck going to this planet where they were forced to live immortally, essentially. They were like given a plane that they won't die, or they'll just like live really long lives. And now they're stuck on this planet. But there's also supposed to be diamonds on this planet, and so one side of our story, which is this side, follows along as the people are trying to go on a heist to rob this planet of the diamonds, thinking that all of the prisoners and everybody who have been on it have been dead for 20 years because there hasn't been any communications from this planet in that time period. The only problem with that is that the other side of the book lets us know that that's not true. In fact, for the last 20 years, the prisoners on this planet have believed that the Earth has been destroyed because that's the only reason they could imagine that there's been no contact for the guards or the warden or anything. And so they've all taken over this planet and are looking for any means off of it to figure out what's going on. And now these worlds are starting to collide between the 2 books, and we are going to see exactly what evil things lie before all of them as this goes. Next up, we've got Huge Detective issue 3 from Titan Comics, a fan favorite here at Bat City. This gives you like classic detective work with a nice little twist, which is that this is a world where giants exist. And for a while, we were very much afraid because the giants were kind of like taking out humans, not necessarily on purpose, but not necessarily on accident either. And so we have a situation where for the first time in a long time, we need to bring what they call a huge in to work with this detective, because there is a boy who is a regular person, but he believes himself to be a huge, and he is the only person that knows what's going on in this murder investigation. Like, possibly is the murderer, possibly just knows the answers, but allegedly he can kind of talk like the huges do through mind like telepathy. And so they're really, like, it's like super confused. He's in an asylum because they're not sure if he's crazy or if maybe he really does have this. But there are so many layers to this investigation because the people who are watching over him all seem very suspects. Even the detective is kind of suspect in and of her own. And the people are suspicious of the huge, and the huge is suspicious of the people. And like, when you don't really have trust between anybody, how can anybody actually do an investigation? We are finding that out right now, and it's so good. It's so well done. If you like detective stories, you should definitely pick this one up for sure. Lady Mechanica issue 3 from Image. This has been, I mean, it's just a beautiful world in general, but this has been such a cool story. Basically, in this, Lady Mechanica, which has had many, many volumes of adventures, and kind of like Hellboy, you don't necessarily have to read them all to jump in, but she has this, you know, very supernatural kind of abilities to herself and what she is and everything. And she has been called in as a supernatural detective to investigate the fact that these scientists who were looking for something on a lake have now disappeared. And there's belief that there is a giant monster in the lake and that it is taking people. And so she has had to come out and do the research. And she's finally at a point where she is actually there and investigating, and things are not going well. There's lots of dangers, like left and right, everywhere she turns. She's already like fallen off a cliff. All kinds of bad things can happen. Meanwhile, back home, her compatriots are deciding whether or not they are going to go out to help her, and they're kind of fighting internally between them on whether or not she deserves their assistance because of things that have happened between them. But is she going to be able to figure out what's going on? Is there a monster in the lake, or is there just like some crazy people? We'll find out as the story unfolds. Summer Shadows, issue 3 from Dark Horse Comics. I really love this story, and I love the way that it's like slowly moving its sense of dread. I'm always in for that, and this one is doing a great job with it. This is all about a guy who gets a postcard like from his boyfriend. His boyfriend kind of tells him like he needs a break, and then he goes off to Greece, and while he's there, he sends back a postcard that's like, yes, we're through. I don't want anything to do with you. Like, stop contacting me. I just need some time on my own. Only to find out that, you know, he's like, I don't really feel like he wrote that. Like, there was like a really strange thing to the way it sounded. So he goes over to look into it himself, and some weird things are definitely going on in this beach community, including a giant black yacht that is off the coast that's called the Nix. And they invite random, you know, young people onto this boat to lure them into some stuff. And our main character finally gets invited onto the boat in this issue, and he kind of does his own little investigation. And the things he finds are definitely strange, and the people on this boat are not kind of the people he wants to associate with, but he's still determined to figure out what happened to his partner, and he believes that he's on this boat and that there's something suspicious going on, and we are going to have to keep the investigation going. Meanwhile, there is a detective who is getting all kinds of way too personal for what this situation is calling for, and I don't know how that's going to play out, but I cannot wait to see, because this has been so good. And it's got that nice gloss thick cover, man. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Nation issue 2 from IDW. This is kind of bringing back, like, for those of you who love when Casey Jones and like Raphael get those books that are just kind of about them. This is kind of like that, except they get two different stories. They are not in the same place. And so the first one is Raphael on the attack, and he is trying to figure out how to stop Metalhead. You know, he is very angry with Donatello because he just wants to enjoy his time away from all his family and just chill in Vegas, but he has recently found out that there's some stuff going on with Metalhead, and he is trying to figure out how to stop that, and we're kind of seeing that piece together. This does kind of connect to Raphael's adventure from where he is in the beginning of the Ninja Turtles, the new Ninja Turtles comic, and where he's going. And then we also have a Casey Jones story in the back. And if you have been following the relaunch of the Ninja Turtles, you know that like the end of the old one, kind of the beginning of this one, Casey Jones has been working with the foot soldiers and trying to keep Shredder's daughter, who is kind of running all of that, from losing herself and turning into somebody like her dad. And he is finding that that is not going so well for him or for her. And so he's kind of just trying to figure out how to keep it all together right now. And he's putting a target on his back in the process. So if you're a Ninja Turtles fan and if either of those are your favorite Ninja Turtles characters, you definitely want to get this. But you're not going to want to miss it, just in general, because I think it's going to build some pieces that are going to come into play really well, like really a lot in the main Ninja Turtles title at some point. Dark Empty Void #2, also from Mad Cave, and a great creative team, Zach Kaplan and Chris Sheehan. I'm just really excited whenever Chris Sheehan is on art, so I'm automatically in. But this is a story about a group of scientists who stupidly bring a black hole into their lab, and while they have this black hole open, a woman randomly falls through it. And they don't know what to do. They don't know how to communicate with this woman. And so they end up calling in this one woman, who is the ex of the main scientist, who is like very good at, she's like the ultimate like therapist. Like she's a huge psychologist, and they're like, we're going to need your help. We need you to go through things. And so she is now here to be the assistant that kind of like to this girl. And they realize that the only thing that they can kind of do to help her and to get her to communicate really well is to go back into the black hole themselves. And so now a team has walked into this black hole and is discovering all kinds of crazy, dangerous things on the other side, because duh, why do we do these things? Why do we go into these crazy places that we're not supposed to be in? I don't know, but I guess we wouldn't have a story if we didn't. And so now they're trapped in this black hole. They have lost control of everything, and it is only going to get way worse before it gets better. And whether or not we make it out of this dark, empty void or not, I don't know, but we're going to get a lot of crazy monsters and a lot of weird stuff designed by Chris Sheehan, so it's going to be gorgeous. We're going to go a lot of places that people should not go, and I can't wait to see what Chris draws. They're going to make some amazing stuff, and I can't wait. The Toxic Avenger #2 from Ahoy Comics, and this is the fantastic Matt Boris cover. If you didn't read issue 1, we have more coming. But if you didn't read issue 1, this is a relaunch of Toxie and the Toxic Avenger story. And so in the first issue, we kind of go back and forth between past, present, and future of, like a 3-day period as we see the toxic ooze spread out into the town and how it ends up hurting and creating the monsters that it does. And in this issue, we are on quarantine day 4, and they have come to offer Toxie, the government has come to offer him a job as essentially their mascot for this this toxic spill, and say like, hey, you could do like PSAs and do some advising and different things like that. And he's like, I mean, that could be cool. And they're like, we'll pay you $75,000. And he's like, that sounds really cool. And they're like, don't trust the government, like, don't do it. And he's like, well, but who's going to help all the people that have been injured by the toxic spill if I'm out doing that? And they're like, oh, don't worry about that. And he's like, that's kind of all I'm worried about. So he makes these choices to go in and continue to help his friends. But the way that continues out and all of the stuff that goes down is what we get to see in this issue. And we're gonna get to see a lot of that as this continues to unfold, because he is definitely trying to make a difference, even though a lot of these people are the bullies that have been attacking him. And I'm going to turn this around so you can actually see the full Matt Boris cover, because it is dope. I love it.
That's wicked. It
is wicked, and that's why I was like, oh, I have to wait until the end and then show you the whole thing. Yes, so you got to pick up Toxic Avenger. I love Matt Boris. He's our buddy. He's so cool, and he has some great plans. If you are a Toxic Avenger fan, don't miss it. All right, now my nose is all itchy because I didn't take my allergy pill like I said I was going to. The Girl Called Cthulhu, a new Minky Woodcock book, which is from Hard Case and their crime unit, which I believe Titan has the rights to, right? Yes, haha. I love these Minky Woodcock books. I love the classic, like, femme fatale, but she is the detective. It is so great. And in this story, she is actually working on a thing that she needs to, like, she's using H.P. Lovecraft, and she's kind of trying to figure out some clues that go through him and his writing and stuff. But now she has gotten herself entangled with Aleister Crowley and all of his cults of people who are way too, like, are into the occult, and all of the things that he's trying to pull them into. And somehow she knows that, like, she finds out from Aleister that her parents were really into his organization, and she is like, I have to know why, I have to know what's going on. And so she is supposed to have a session with H.P. Lovecraft and his wife. And Aleister Crowley is like, if you want to bring them out to my island, we could all go out there for a thing. And she's like, okay, like, I'm sure they would be down for that. Like, I need to see, like, what's going on with these people. That might be a great way to get them on an adventure that we can figure out together what's going on. And I'm going to just show you a little... I can't show you. Never mind. I just want you to see that there's some wild stuff that happens, but I can't show you because there's a little bit of craziness. I love the art. I love the storytelling. I love how just... like, it feels like you're reading the classic hard case, like, crime novels. Like, it has all of that just pulpy fun to it, and they always go with all these new, like, all these people you know. And I love it because at the back they do actually have, and I'll show that, the little mailbox where they actually answer questions about, like, hey, like, none of these people are good people. And it's like, yes, I know you're going to see all of the bad things that, like, these people did. And it's like, hey, why would you, like, did these people actually know each other? And it's like, no, it's a story. Like, I don't know if they ever met. It makes sense if they did, but, you know, we'll see. Anyway, read them. You should always check them out because they're so good. Like, the girl who electrified Tesla, I think, was the last one, which was so good. And the girl who, whatever she did to Houdini was also really good. I love Minky Woodcock. She's a great detective. We've got The Big Game, issue 2 from Distillery. This is a fantastic story. Big Burn. What did I say?
Big Game. Big
Game. Oh, it's kind of, because it's there in the middle of the game. The Big Burn. The dice threw my brain off. So this is all about a bunch of people who, technically it's about a couple who really, they were great thieves and wonderful at their jobs. And then they decided they, should sell their souls to the devil for, like, the ability to do more. And what that ended up doing was costing them their love for each other. Because without a soul, you cannot love. And it just made everything feel empty. And they separated because of it. And now the male in the relationship is like, I want to win back my girlfriend. I want to win back our lives. We need to do something about this. And so he has recruited a Ocean's 11 kind of group of people to rob hell of all of their souls. So they are going to break into essentially the vault in hell where souls are kept, and they're going to steal them back. In this issue, we have you think we need one more scene, where they have to go and get the one more, which is the person that really always is the one who knows everything and knows how to make the plan and make it actually work. And in this case, the only person who could do that is his girlfriend, who he lost, who is in a mental institution because she believes the whole thing is fake. And so she is trying to get away from all of it, and she doesn't really want to believe any of it anymore. And so they not only have to break her out, but they have to break her back into her mind. And you're already getting betrayals and shiftiness and all kinds of stuff going on amongst the team, because like one of them says, is there really any honor amongst thieves, and especially thieves who are willing to sell their souls to the devil? Maybe not. But they got to work together if they're going to survive, literally, and we're going to see if it works. It is so good. It's so well done, so check it out. Exo Man of War. This is just a tie-in to the Resurgence of the Valiant universe, so it's not actually fully relaunching the Exo title. He's going to appear in the Resurgence itself, but this is kind of just to give you a little backstory and connection, like give the backstory of Exo as well as tying it in. And so we get to see Eric, who is the user of the Man of War armor, and kind of again get to see that, like, oh, he was Roman and he had a plan and he wanted to save his people, and then he came back to actually fight this battle only to find out everything was gone, and now he's in this suit of armor. And he's fighting people all across the multitudes of galaxies. And at this point, he is trying to get He's been stopping people out in space who are a part of something that is weird and going on and trying to make his way back to Earth before it's too late. In this, he actually finds a planet that he thinks is very Earth-like, but it's also supposed to be next in line for this destruction, only to find out that there is like a psychic woman who is controlling the people of this place and is keeping them under her control and in danger. And as he fights her, he has to learn how to fight with and without his suit all over again, and to kind of get a little bit of knowledge about what might be going on Earth that's going to tie us into that resurgence of the Valiant universe, which is the next issue he will appear in from here. So again, if you didn't know Valiant was back, they were bought by Alien Books. They are relaunching the whole universe to get you all of your characters back again and kind of put them all together. One giant story is happening across all of the Valiant books, with each one kind of focusing on their portion of how they connect to that story. Starved Rock, issue 1 from Blood Moon Comics. This is all about Starved Rock, the location, which is in Illinois. Have you been there, Matt? You're shaking your head. You have?
That's where you went for like every Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts trip. It's like, we're going to Starved Rock again. Okay, cool.
Nice. So you went there a lot. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, hopefully this didn't happen to you, because what happens? What happens is a group of hunters go hunting out in the Starved Rock woods, and there is only one rule, which is you don't kill a famed local deer who is supposed to be an ancient deity. And while they are out there, they accidentally do just that. And they awaken a bunch of evil forces that are coming after them, and that will not let them go until retribution is made, and the park rangers and everybody are called in to help. And we learn that the park rangers have a little bit of knowledge going on. They are actually kind of in on this protection of this deity in different ways. And so we get to see just how this is going to play out for this guy, this group of people and this hunter that made the choice to make the shot. It is issue 1. This is not a one shot, so there is going to be more to come about whether or not these hunters can actually get through. I know you need to read that because you've been there. All right, The Spell Slinger, issue 1, also from Blood Moon. I'm really excited about this book. This was a big surprise and not a surprise all at the same time for me. This is one of those where I picked it up and handed it to Matt and was like, this seems like a thing you might be into. And I'm super excited about it. So basically, the Spell Slinger is a guy who is essentially somebody that goes around and kind of hunts demons and things like that. He has this gun that is magical. He's got magical powers. And he is in the Old West. Actually, specifically, he's supposed to be in Texas in this story. And he goes to this place and he rescues this guy, and then he's having a nice night, and then as he's trying to sleep, this ghost keeps appearing and will not let him get any sleep. And so he ends up following the ghost out to where she wants him to go, only to end up in the woods, where there is even more danger and darkness and all kinds of stuff. And there is something afoot in this town that he really doesn't want to get involved in, because he is a cursed spell slinger, and so every time he actually uses his powers, something bad happens to him. He personally is deteriorating from it. But he has no choice, because this ghost will not leave him alone, and he knows that's his job. And so he gets further and further into a rabbit hole of dangerous stuff happening in this town. And I don't want to spoil what it is and where it goes, but you definitely need to check it out, because I can't wait to see where this is going to go for him, because I don't feel like he's gonna get that sleep that he wants ever. But I love that he's the reluctant hero who's okay, fine, maybe I'll die if I do it, but I'm already here, I've got the power, let me go out and do it because it's the right thing to do. And he's definitely making a difference. All right, we've got Rome Eternal, issue 1 from Magma Comics. This is the heaviest book that I read this week. Literally, I felt like I was reading a textbook at times. It was so heavy. But this is all about Rome, and honestly, it kind of feels like Magma's answer to an Exo Man War style story, because while it is about the Roman Empire, it has a lot of that advanced tech, so you almost feel like you're looking at like a futuristic Rome. And somebody has like is trying to betray the emperor, and so they send somebody in to do what they're like this thing where you can go into your mind, essentially, and the minds of somebody who was at this scene of this crime and look into it and kind of follow through. And this guy who works for the emperor, who's kind of his navigator through these moments, goes into the scene. And as he's watching the scene unfold, he realizes he sees all of the people that are responsible and everything. But the thing is that they don't just leave it there. Like, he doesn't necessarily get the information he wants in the way he wants it, nor does he get the freedom he wants from that. And we kind of see that there is a secret society of people who maybe are trying to save Rome, maybe are trying to bring it down, maybe are doing a little bit of both because they have their own way of thinking and way of leadership, and they are all kinds of different people from different places who are part of this Roman Empire. And maybe we're going to see the fall of the Roman Empire in a very different way. But yeah, if you like ancient Rome, if you're going to see Gladiator too, you should just buy this comic because it's definitely heavy on the Roman history, but it is a lot more sci-fi and so like I said, there's so much to it. Like, you have to learn. It's almost like Assassin's Creed kind of style of like you are put into this navigator where you have to like see the adventure happen and it like unfolds in front of you, and you're there and you're experiencing it, and you have like the ability to kind of like impact it in certain ways. Very much like if you put Assassin's Creed in the Roman Empire and then made it into a comic, what it would look like. All right, here it is. The launch of G.I. Joe #1 from your Image Skybound imprint and your Energon universe. We have been building up to this for a year, at least at this point, 14 months, because we're 14 issues into Transformers. So yeah, just over a year. And we are in Transformers 2. We saw the first teaser of Duke, who was in one of the airplanes that was fighting against the Transformers as they came into it. And then we saw Duke go off on his own and supposed to be like on a break from the government because he was like, giant alien robots exist. And the government was like, no, they don't. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And he's like, I am sure they do because I was attacked by a giant alien robot. Now he is back. And he is a part of the G.I. Joe operative, and he has built his team of people, and they are supposed to be going after everybody. They're after, specifically though, right now, the Transformers and their Energon to try to figure out what it is and how to keep the world and specifically America safe. Meanwhile, as in all things G.I. Joe, not only are they after that stuff, but so are Mars and so are Cobra, who are teamed up together to kind of stop to steal all of the Energon supplies from the Transformers and make their ultimate weapons and take the power for themselves. In this issue, we actually see that come to a head. We've had Cobra books, we've had Duke, we've had Deathstroke had a book. It's all coming together right here as Joshua Williamson brings us this new G.I. Joe ongoing to get us that whole world connected. We've got a one-shot from the Gatchaman universe. This is Gatchaman June, and it is called Apex Heart, and it is from Mad Cave. So if you don't know Gatchaman, that is the Science Ninja team, who are a group of teenagers who are just like specialty fighters who keep the world safe against this evil bad guy who is just kind of doing all the wrong things. And in this Gatchaman series, he has been stealing all the scientists and trying to use them to come up with his own problems and disasters and monsters and robots and things like that. In the proper Gatchaman title, June recently went undercover to try to save some of the scientists, and now they are back at the Science Ninja team place, and they realize that there is a new problem, and that is that this gang of people on motorcycles have been attacking people, and they don't really know what's going on. They all move really crazily, and they're like, this doesn't seem like they're real people, but we know that they've got to have something going on. Well, June, who is a motorcyclist, figures out that they have something very much in common with the like greatest motorcycle rider that she's ever known, and so she decides she wants to do an investigation once again on her own, and goes out into this place to figure it out. And what she learns is there is way more to the story than expected, and she kind of has to solve this adventure on her own. This is actually my favorite of all the Gatchaman books out. Like, this one shot, I was like, this was everything I needed. She was cool. She like got into the history. She had the emotional connection with like her brother. We saw a very big emotional connection with the story of the motorcyclist. There was so many layers to this. It was so well done. And like, I've never watched Gatchaman, and like this comic has been my first experience with it, but so far, like, June is my favorite, and I don't know if that is a normal Gatchaman reaction, but this comic series has definitely made me love her, so I'm glad she got her own one shot, and it was really good. And if you don't know anything about Gatchaman, but you want to just read one of the books to check it out, highly recommend this be the one, because it's really cool, and it's a self-contained story that's really great. Up next, we have Arcbound issue 1 from Dark Horse Comics, and Tom Hardy, Scott Snyder, and Frank Thierry. Guys, I couldn't make that up if I tried. That was like a lineup that I would have never put together on a book, and yet I'm like, here they are, and like, hear me out. Like, here we go. So this is, it's an idea that was, and I like that they actually listed it this way. The characters and the concepts come from Tom Hardy. Scott Snyder and Frank Thierry are writing it, and I love that they actually break that down inside of it. But in this, we are following a man who is a soldier in this futuristic world. And basically his job has been to go around to all these planets and basically just destroy all the people on them so that they can get the energy, like essentially the oil from these places, because that's what the ruler of his kingdom wants. And literally they live on like a drilling rig. Like, it is literally just a story about oil. And they come back, and they have now like conquered everybody that they were on, like that was on their list, and they get back, and they're told by their superior, oh, don't get comfortable, you're gonna go back out, and we're gonna take out this other place. And they're like, why? Like, they didn't do anything. Like, those people are peaceful, and we have enough oil to last us everybody's lifetime. And they're like, yeah, but like, what if somebody attacks us? Like, we have to have more just so that we could be prepared for it. And he's like, yeah, but is there any looming threats? And they're like, well, no, but there could be. So we have to take out everybody just in case. And he's like, I don't like that. And then they get to the place, and it turns out like he gets, he's getting this encrypted message and all this information that says basically like these people never wanted to be violent. They don't want to attack. They actually surrendered and said they could just have all of their supplies. And yet that is not what he's being told, like, as he gets there. And so he's got to make some choices, and he's got to figure out like what side he wants to be on, and if he just wants to do the right thing, or if he wants to continue to be like the good and faithful soldier. And we're going to see how that plays out for him. But again, Tom Hardy, Scott Snyder, Frank Thierry, again, not a team up. I was like, where did this come from? It's right here. It came from Dark Horse. That's where it came from. Borderlines, Moxie's Mysterious Memento, issue 1 from Dark Horse. I said Borderlands. I cannot talk today. Seriously, guys, this is killing me. This is one of the few video games that I've actually like kind of played too, and like I just messed that up entirely. This is a story from the Borderlands universe. It's going to be a 4-part series. We're seeing a lot of these coming from Dark Horse right now. It's been a while since we've had Borderlands comics, but I think because of the recent movie, we're starting to see them again. But basically in this, Moxie has a statue stolen from her by somebody that is important to her, and so she's like, I want you to find this person, but I also want you to find my statue. And she sends Amara, who is a siren, which means she has like the cool siren magic tattoos that help her just be super strong and super cool and do magic. And so she sends them out to get it, and so Mara builds a team reluctantly of people, and they go to a city that nobody's supposed to be able to have access to and can't get into, and they have to team up with a couple more people in order to make that happen, because there's a lot that's going down in this city that is going to be super dangerous for them. So you're going to see a lot of your Borderlands characters, and you're going to see some big adventure happen in this story. So if you are a Borderlands fan, you won't want to miss this. And I'm saying that because we have had the Tiny Tina story going on recently, and the first 3 issues came out, or 2 issues came out, and nobody was picking it up, and then suddenly people realized new Borderlands comics were out. So I'm just going to keep saying that there's new Borderlands comics out. Don't miss them. Here's another one. It's all about Moxie and a team of people trying to do something for her. Don't miss it. Yars Rising issue, one shot, not an issue, from IDW and Atari. And I really, really like this issue. And also Atari is still making video games. This says coming soon from Atari. And I you can join the Atari club on the back of this. Who knew? Who knew? So I don't know, but I love this comic, and I want more of the comic, and I'm kind of sad that it's only a one-shot to promote the game. But this is all about a girl who's a hacker and her friends that she works with. She's got the girl who comes up with all the plans on the team. She's got the cute boy that she has a crush on, who is her, recon guy, her security that keeps her safe. They got the friend who used to be the one who was bankrolling everything, but when his parents lost their money, he kind of stopped bankrolling it. But they are Robin Hood-esque kind of hackers. They rob from the rich to give to themselves and to the poor people, and honestly just to make rich people's lives miserable, which are all great and wonderful reasons to be a hacker. And they go on to take on a new I don't know what you call it, caper, in this one, where they are going to be robbing from a major corporation, and it's just going to be skimming money from them into their bank accounts. But when they actually follow through with the plan, it is their bank account that starts getting skimmed and eventually depleted, and they have to figure out what is going on, who's doing it, and try to stop them. Seriously, I don't know what the game itself would look like, but you could just keep making this into a comic, IDW. Just keep telling stories from this. These characters are fantastic. I love all of them. I want to see a cartoon of them. I want to read the story. This was almost my pick of the week. I loved the characters so much. Very I Heart Skull Crusher-esque kind of character development and people. If you like that book, this is great. Again, I didn't even know Atari. I was like, oh, I got to give this to all the people who like old school stuff because it's an Atari book. And then it was no, continue this story in this game coming out. See, it even says on all major gaming platforms. So it's Atari isn't a platform anymore. It's just a developer. I don't know. But if you do, please let me know in the comments because I want to know all about it. And also, I really just want more comics of these characters. Do it, IW. We've got Bloody Mary. This is a little zine type short story from Silver Sprocket, all about a girl named Maria who decides to sneak out of her house to go on a date with her boyfriend. And it's super cute because she gets in the car and she's like, I really think you're super cute. I want to be kind of like boyfriend, girlfriend or whatever. And then she realizes that his cousin is a vampire and she's like, oh my gosh, is your cousin a vampire? And he's like, he wasn't supposed to expose himself. I'm so sorry. Please don't be embarrassed. If you want to leave, I understand. And she's like, no, let's go to the movies. Well, the cousin decides he needs to stop at the Stake, which is a vampire nightclub known for its house music. And she and her friend, her dates are waiting in the car for quite a while until they decide that maybe they should just go inside. And she gets an awakening to house music in this story as she experiences a beautiful change of heart. I'm going to show you what that looks like for it. It's fantastic. I'm just going to tell you right now, expect this to be on Santiago Saturday next weekend because he loves horror, Silver Sprocket, and house music. So this will probably be Santiago's pick of the year. But yeah, such a great story. As always, a perfect balance of creepy, cute, and just fun for Silver Sprocket. All right, and then I've got my 3 picks of the week for you. First up is string number 1 from Mad Cave. This is here for the concepts and for the characters and for the use of color. I'm so excited for all of those things. So this is all about a young woman who has the ability to see the connections between people, but only for 2 things. 1, who you're sleeping with, and 2, people who murdered somebody and who they murdered. And so she sees blue strings if it's related to people sleeping together. She sees black strings if it is for people who murdered. So the local police department always brings her in. And nobody at the police department, though, wants to work with her anymore because they hate that she can see that they're sleeping around with each other and all of the affairs and things that are going on. Well, a murder happens and she is paired up with a new detective. And they are kind of like, they know nothing about her relationship strings or anything like that at first. And so they're learning and they're asking all these questions. And, they even start to make jokes and she's like, are you making fun of me? And they're like, no, I mean, kind of, like, it's just kind of a weird thing. And she's like, well, that's okay because everybody else is just creeped out by me. So I kind of like your dry humor. That's better than nothing. And so they build this nice little friendship between the 2 of them. Good cop, bad cop, buddy cop kind of situation going on. And they are on the hunt for a person who has black strings following after them. And so they are convinced that this, must be the person that they need to catch after she looks in a morgue at a body and follows the string. But things don't necessarily go the way she thought they were going to. And what happens at the end, honestly and truthfully, is why this story is a pick for the week for me. Again, I love the use of color. I love the characters. They're all really fantastic. I love the concept of the story. But the cliffhanger really got me. And it's Paul Tobin, so it's going to be good. And it's going to have lots of twists and turns that are going to be fantastic. I'm really excited to see where this book goes. And it was one of those where I was like, ooh, you immediately come out the gate with good character development and a good premise, which is 100% a Paul Tobin standard, so I'm not really surprised. And I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. You need that. Oh, yes, and I'm wearing my Mad Cave. I specifically wore my Mad Cave shirt because that was one of my picks of the week. So, and I knew there were so many awesome Mad Cave books, starting and wrapping up this week, that I wanted to have my awesome Mad Cave shirt. Thanks, Mad Cave, because they sent me this, so thanks for that. And then we've got Calavera P.I. #1 from Oni Press. Again, this is here for great character development and your twists and turns that bring you to your story. And I absolutely thought this was well done. You will need to either know Spanish or translate a lot of Spanish when you're reading this, so that is something to keep in mind. But you do need to translate it. I have people all the time who tell me, oh, the book had another language in it, and I just skipped those parts. Please don't do that. There's a reason for that dialogue in there. Please just use, your Google Translate. But this book is all about a detective who is in the Hollywood area, and he's got a woman who is interviewing him she does crime beat reporting, and she's kind of following along on the case. And they end up stopping some human traffickers at the very beginning of the story. And she's just like, wow, you're a hero for our people. You're a hero for this area. And he's like, I'm not really a hero. I get something out of it, too. And don't see me that way. And we get to see a lot about who this girl is and who this guy is. And we learn a lot about him very early on. In just actual natural flow of dialogue and action. And then we see them take on a new case, which isn't really intentional. They just kind of see this woman who is in the middle of the street, and she's lost her child, and she wants to just kind of take everybody down with her because she's really sad, and he's got to figure out how to stop that. And that leads to the second half of the book that I'm not going to tell you anything about because you have to read it to find out where this goes. Great detective story, great, seriously, use of the concept, not only of the detective story, but there is a reason for his name. and for the concept of like this detective that we're going to get. And I love that even though it's kind of told from his point of view, it's also kind of told from this reporter's point of view, and the way she builds herself into the story and for us is really, really good. Seriously, grab this book. It's well done. And it's kind of like, it's not quite like newspaper print, but it's made to look like it. Like, it's not newspaper print, but it's made to look like it and give you that pulpy feel, which is really cool concept for just your design. Great book. And lastly, for picks of the week and new releases, we have Helen of Windhorn, issue 6 from Dark Horse. So we all thought this was going to be the end of Helen of Windhorn, and really I think Tom King could have left it here and told us that he hated us forever and just left it right there. But he doesn't. Tom King loves us, and there's going to be more. He calls this the end of the epic, first chapter of the epic story. If you haven't read Helen of Windhorn yet, please do. This is all about a girl named Helen who lived with her dad, who was a writer, and he essentially wrote like Conan the Barbarian style stories. Dad dies, and a governess comes and takes Helen back to her home that she's never actually been to, which is Windhorn, where her grandfather lives. It's this big, giant manor that borders a forest that works for a portal to another world. And Helen learns very quickly that all of the stories her father made up were actually never stories that he made up. They were actually just tales of adventures he had gone on in this other world with her grandfather. And in the last issue, Helen was told by her grandfather that she couldn't go to the other world anymore, and now she has gotten very depressed, and the governess argued with her grandfather to let her go to this other world again. And so Helen actually gets to go and actually learns her own story in this issue and her connections to that other world and how there was so much more to it than she ever knew. And it's so amazingly done and so beautiful. And the coolest thing about this book is the whole point of it is that stories never die and they always just keep continuing. And so it's like frame tale within frame tale within frame tale, because you're hearing the story essentially like from the governess as she's relaying it to a man who is interviewing her. But those tapes of that interview have like been sold in auctions, and like they're being listened to by somebody else who's like hearing the stories of the interview of the governess, hearing the stories from Helen and recounting them and her experiences connected to it, and like whether or not any of it's real. And we do get to see those like tapes kind of pass on even a little bit more and learn a little bit more about the power of storytelling, which is something that Tom King is doing an extraordinary job of. This is going to win so many Eisners next year. Bill Quest Evely's art is going to win, obviously be nominated. I would hope wins art awards. We're going to see some major nominations for this book for sure. Tom's writing, everything. I think we're going to see it all over the place. Fantastic story. Cannot wait to see what he's going to do in an additional volume for sure. All right. We've got more books in stock. I'm not going to tell you about all of them, but you can find out about them by picking them up. We've got Batman Uncovered. This is the one shot. That's for those of you who don't know, the Uncovereds are literally just covers on the inside. So they're like little pinups you can save or hang up in your room. Really cool, actually, way to give like art to people who do like to decorate their room with art. We've got Batman Dark Age issue 6. This is the final story of the Mark Russell Batman. I'm very excited to read the whole thing now that it's together. Batman Gotham by Gaslight, the Kryptonian Age issue 6. We got Captain America issue 15. DC versus Vampires World War Z is on issue 4. I need to catch up. I'm behind on that, and I love DC versus Vampires. Deadpool issue 8, still focusing on Deadpool's daughter. Green Lantern issue 17. Violator issue 3 from Spawn. And if you don't know, these are like super thick, puffy books that you can get some great stories from Violator, and you gotta check it out. Venom issue 39, as well as Venom War Deadpool issue 3 and Venom War Wolverine issue 3. It is a Venom week for sure. Every week is Venom week right now with Venom War going on. Superman Action Comics issue 1075. Also pretty heavy book this week. Turtles of Grayskull issue 2. So if you are a fan of Masters of the Universe and the Ninja Turtles, here's your crossover point. And I did read issue 1, so I should have read issue 2 because now I need to know what happens, and I totally missed that. We've got some great new trades out this week. We've got My Bad Volume 3.
Woo.
You gotta read My Bad. If you've never read My Bad, this is Mark Russell giving us everything we never knew we always wanted superheroes to be, and all of the great satire that you need Ahoy Comics to bring you. We've got Love Me, a romance story, also from Mad Cave. This is Stefano Carticelli just giving us on art, giving us beautiful robot world, and Francesca Perillo giving us a beautiful love story and about a robot trying to save the woman he loves who was kidnapped by the mob. Speaking of beautiful things, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein starring Boris Karloff. This is also just, like, look at this. It is just gorgeous. You got to check this book out for sure. It is amazing. And it's a hardcover, and it's gorgeous. And you need more Frankenstein in your life. Death Comes for the Toy Maker, also from Magma Comics. I think this was just like put out like this was just put out like this. It didn't have single issues. This is one of those books that I'm seeing everybody talk about all over the internet, so you're going to want to grab it and check it out for sure before it's too late. Star Wars, the prequel trilogy. This is your graphic novel form, essentially, of the trilogy of the first 3 Star Wars movies. And then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Black, White, and Green. This is the collected edition of all 4 issues with all of those anthology stories that were just really cool. Definitely grab this issue because there's some really great, amazing stories in there. Don't forget, this week we've got our Giving Thanks sale continuing with 15% off graded comics under $100 this Wednesday, 20% off trade paperbacks on Thursday, which is also the day that we have our Fresh Start book club for Ice Cream Man #1. Please don't miss it. This is one of the best books in the world. You got to read it. We've got manga on sale for 25% off this Friday, and kids books are on sale this Saturday, the 23rd, for 20% off. And our Heroes Harvest Festival is also this Saturday, the 23rd, from 12 to 4. You are not going to want to miss it. All kinds of games and activities for the kids, and our first ever chili cook-off, which is going to be crazy. And I'm going to eat chili like crazy, and it's going to be a great day, and you could be a part of that great day. From 12 to 4, free events, as with all of our events at Bat City. Gary Barker will be out here with Garfield stuff and judging that chili contest. So come out, bring the family. Your kids are all obsessed with Garfield right now, and so are you. So bring him out to meet Gary because he's the coolest and he does Garfield stuff and it's awesome. Maybe bring your Bad City Garfield sticker back and get him to sign it if you haven't stuck it on something yet, because he did make it. That said, it's going to be, as always, a great week at Bad City, and we hope we're going to share it with you. If we don't get to see you then, we will see you next Sunday night at 9 p.m.-ish on our Facebook page to talk about all the new indie and small press releases that come out this Wednesday. It's going to be great. Hope you enjoyed them all. Pick up some of these great books, and until we see you at the chili cook-off, happy reading, everybody. Bye.